All right, so today we're going to start talking about buying a used vehicle, and I'm going to bombard you with information, but I think a lot of you are going to benefit because I had to learn all of this on the fly, and you will already know this as you graduate high school. So the biggest difference when you buy a used vehicle is that yes, you can buy it from a dealer, but you can also obviously buy it privately now, right? So the biggest difference, anybody know the difference in tax between dealer and private? Maybe you've never purchased a car yet, but at a dealership, no matter what, you still pay 12% tax. Whereas at a private, when it's a private transaction, you only pay 7%. So dealership charges you the PST and GST. When it's a private sale, it's only PST. So now you know. Okay. MPI stands for this one, you know, right? Manitoba Public Insurance, and it's what we call a crown corporation, which means it's owned by the government, right? They set the rates, and you don't really have a choice to go private. Other provinces they're privatizing some of it. We don't really have the choice just yet. You can buy insurance online yourself, or you can go through an AutoPack agent. I'm sure you've seen AutoPack, right? When you drive across the city, there's AutoPack agents. Maybe after today you'll see it. They're called brokers, right? They're like the middle person. You give them your driver's license, and they have access to MPI's database. They can tell you which cars you have insured and stuff like that, right? Safety inspection. Prior to insuring a vehicle in Manitoba, it needs to pass a safety inspection. Did you know that? I'm sure you've heard of a safety. Yeah? It needs to pass the safety. And it's called a COI, a Certificate of Inspection. That inspection, once it's done, once your car passes it, it's good for 12 months. Okay. The document has 3 copies, a white, a pink, and a yellow. The person buying the car gets the white copy. Very important. You know why? Because I learned the hard way. Bought my truck. We were both looking at there's 3 papers on that safety. He's like, which one should I give you? He just gave me the yellow one, I think. So I go to AutoPack. When I insure it, you need the white copy. But I only have the pink copy. You need the white copy. So I had to go back and get the white copy to insure it. So very important, the white copy, keep the white copy. TOD stands for Transfer of Ownership Document. The TOD is very important. I'll show you a sample of it later on. This document is required when registering and insuring the vehicle. Okay, it's required when registering and insuring the vehicle. Make sure the information on the blue matches the vehicle you purchased, right? Make sure that happens. Every car has a VIN number, okay, which is basically an identification number. Bill of sale, a legal document that lists the names of all parties involved, as well as the make, model, VIN number, mileage of the car at the time of the transaction. Everyone should have a signed copy. Everyone should have a signed copy, and you can get a template online of that. I will do a bracket here of these 3 things. Okay, those 3 things must be present when you want to insure a car. A a safety, a TOD, and the bill of sale. These three things you must have if you want to register your car and actually drive it and get a license plate for it. Okay, you need those three things. Next, purchase price. Everybody knows this one, right? The actual value paid. Actual value paid. Right? That's all I'm going to highlight there. It may be more or less than the book value. Watch this. It may be more or less than the book value. Important to note as well. What in the world is the book value, you might ask? The book value is the value of the car based on its make and age. It does not reflect the actual market value. Okay? It provides a reference point for Autopack. They have a book. It's actually all online, right? It used to be it's almost like a phone book with all the makes and models, but now it's all online. So it's a reference point. You can call an Autopack agent and ask for the book value of the vehicle you're buying. You will need to provide the make, year, model. So just Google Map, just go on Google Map and Google Autopack agent. Just call any random agent and just tell them, hey, I want to buy a Honda Civic this year, and they'll tell you what the book value is. That way you kind of know roughly what a low price would be for that car. Trade-in, nothing is changing there. I won't highlight anything for trade-in. Parts and labor, any repairs and work that needs to be done is still 12%, right? Just like before. It's a good idea to calculate the parts and labor prior to determining the total cost of purchasing the car. And then there's something we call a lien search. What in the world is that? I'm gonna read this. A lien is a legal claim, okay? A legal right against assets that are used as a collateral to satisfy the debt. Okay? I will give you an illustration in a bit. If this is confusing you, watch for my illustration. A lien is established by a bank, right? Lien serves to guarantee an underlying obligation such as a repayment of a loan. The important thing here is to also remember that we don't pay taxes on it. So here's my illustration. You ready for this? I'm going to use the previous page 13 as blank. So I'm going to ask you to go to 13. And I will tell you this. I apologize for my poor artistic skills, but imagine you have this car. That car has a VIN number. I will show you where to find the VIN number in a bit. It's an identification number specific to that car. Okay? When you buy it, right? This is you, right? And this is the bank. Okay? When you buy a car, right? And you get a loan from the bank to buy this car, the bank kind of puts a chain on it. It's not hot dogs or anything, okay? It's a chain. So the bank this is what we call the lien, right? The bank kind of says, yeah, you can drive around with it, but we're going to make sure you don't take off on us, right? You don't like drive to the States and sell it there and then disappear. So they have a lien on that car. So the way it works is that lien is in the cloud. There's a database, right? Everything goes to the cloud these days, right? But this VIN number is somewhere in the cloud, and it's in Canada and the US. It's North America, right? So all the banks all over the world, basically Canada and US, can access this database and see if this car is linked to a bank. So you cannot sell it to anybody or do anything until you've paid them in full, and then they remove the chain, right? They basically get rid of that lien, and then you're free to do whatever you want, and it's fully yours. Okay. So the lien search, you want to do a search to make sure this car isn't maybe stolen, or maybe somebody owes money on it and they're not telling you about it. Because if there's a lien on it, have you seen those repo shows where they repossess? Some of you have seen those. They actually come and take the car back. So they can do that if you're owning a car that has a lien on it. That's the best I can do, guys. Everything else, like maybe YouTube it. They might do a better job at explaining, but the lien is basically a tie to the bank, so you can't just go ahead and resell it. Okay? That's why, watch what I'm going to tell you at the bottom of 14. I strongly recommend that you perform a history check on the vehicle you're planning on purchasing. Carfax, have you heard of Carfax? Maybe, maybe not. I'll show you in a bit. Is a very good website. It will search for any reported and that got cut off there accidents, and liens on the car. Bottom of 14, way at the bottom of 14, I'm adding that here. It will tell you if there are any accidents reported for this car or if there are any liens on that car. Okay, so Carfax will do that for you. Before I do any math, I'm going to show you a bunch of papers, okay? So follow me back to page 93, all the way to the back, basically, of this document. That's why this is such a thick booklet, because I added a bunch of stuff that I thought would be good to know, okay? Look at this. This is your safety right here. This is what it actually looks like in Manitoba. So this is a safety. I'll put that next to it, safety. Right? This is a sample of a safety. And right here is the VIN, right? So this VIN number, that VIN number has to match the one on the car. Otherwise, this safety is not valid. The Autopack agent will check for this, okay? And some of the things that you want to make sure that this checkbox is checked off like that. Sometimes you will see that fail is checked off and then pass is checked off, and you might be confused about that. But the vehicle could fail safety, and somewhere in this checkbox, something will tell you why it failed. When the mechanic fixes it, the mechanic goes back here and checks off the pass box. That's why sometimes you may have both of them checked off. That's all right, as long as the mechanic tells you what has been fixed here. Okay. They check for driver's controls. They check for the undercarriage. That's like under the car, right? Is there rust? Is there too much rust on the car? The engine compartment, the brakes, right? They check for how much meat is on the tires. Exterior, the body, they check for headlamps, driving lamps, fog lamps, all of the lights. They make sure everything works. So it's actually a good thing that this is being enforced, right? So you're driving a safe car and it's in working order. What copy are you going to keep of this? The white copy, okay? That's the one you take when you buy the car. Next, there's a bill of sale. This is a sample. This is actually from the Autopack website, MPI, I should say. I use this all the time when I buy or sell a car. This is the one I use. So you can actually rip this off if you want to buy or sell and use it, right? Just, or you get it online, photocopy it, whatever. So there will be the date. This is on page 94. This is the person selling. You got to make sure that if there's two people owning the car, that both of their names show up here. And then this is who's buying it. If you're just buying it by yourself, just your name, right? And then make sure this information about the car all is accurate. And then you have an option to sell it as is, which is most of the time, or if there's some kind of warranty that is offered. Most of us are going to go as is, right? A Kijiji, a person on Kijiji or Marketplace isn't going to give you warranty, right? So then, and then sign. Everybody signs down here, and make sure you have a signed copy, and the person that is buying it from you, or if you're buying whatever, both parties get a signed document of this to make sure it's yours, right? And there's copies of this going around. I actually always take a picture of it yet, just in case. Right, that's the bill of sale. You need that, and the TOD. You recognize this one in the glove box of your car? This should be there. If a cop ever pulls you over and they ask for the registration of the car, it kind of looks blue. Obviously you can't see it here, but it has a bit of a bluish background. It has all the information of the car on there, but this is the important one. The person that sells it to you guys has to sign back here. It's releasing the car to you. It's giving Autopack the go-ahead that you can now take ownership of that car. If you don't have this, you're not going to insure the car. I can guarantee you that. They're going to make you go back and get it from that owner. And there's your VIN number again, the serial number. Make sure that matches the car. I'm almost done talking about stuff here. Can you come with me back to 97? The VIN number, quite often, most vehicles, the front windshield, if you look right close to the hood, there's a plate with the VIN number, and it's this long. You can take a picture of that when you go look at the car. Don't buy right away, right? You look at the car, test drive it, and then take a picture, and then you know the VIN number now. You can do a search on it. And it tells you a whole bunch of information. You don't have to remember that, just that it's the identification number of the car. Technically, every part of this vehicle should have a VIN number on it, even the door. If you open the door, you will see a sticker on the side. It should match the VIN number of the car. If it doesn't match, what do you think happened? Accident. Yeah, they replaced it. So you can bust them if they're saying any accident. It's like, nope. Well, this door, sometimes it doesn't even have a VIN number. They try to like remove it. So you gotta be careful, right? Last page. I know it's the last period of the day, right? And I'm so excited about this, and you might be like, I'll just find out when I get there, Mr. Dirksen. Carfax.ca. Look at this report. This is a sample report I got. This particular car, it's based on the VIN number, remember. It will ask you for the VIN number. It costs you like 40 bucks, 50 bucks to do a search. There is a lien record found for this particular one. It's on page 98. There is an accident record found, right? So it tells you all these things. 6 service records found, meaning that it was taken to a dealership and some kind of work has been done on it. It could be just regular maintenance, but it's there. No US history in this case, which is probably a good thing. There's 1 open recall. I did this when I bought my car. Do you know what a recall is? I think you've heard of it, but sometimes they find that the airbags don't work properly on a car. So they say, hey, all these vehicles with this year, make, and model, you can bring them to a dealer and they'll fix whatever is wrong with it. Okay, so that is a recall. Not declared stolen, that's probably a good thing. And no import record found. So this is what you can kind of expect if you do a search. And I would strongly recommend you do a search. If there's a lien, Please listen carefully. If there's a lien, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't necessarily go ahead with the purchase. You're going to be like, what? You got to get that seller to go to the bank and make sure they pay off the loan. And then they showed the owner actually showed me an official document saying that there's no more lien on it. It's now free to go. All right. So something to remember. It's not the end of the world. A lot of people owe money on their cars, right? So you just got to make sure that is taken care of. Okay, come with me to page 15. We'll do some math in a bit. Finally, right? Go ahead. Okay, dealership versus private. There it is again. The main difference between the two is that with a private sale, here it is again, it's only 7% PST. The PST is due when you register the vehicle at your Autopack agent. Okay. Very important. Don't give this money to the seller, right? You got to pay that at the Autopack agent. It will be calculated based on it's either the actual price you paid for it or what we call the book value. They will try to get the most money out of you, trust me. And so buying a vehicle, if it's a new vehicle, it's just like before, you pay PST and GST, so it's 12%. Okay, 12%. If it's a used vehicle, but it's at a dealership, you still pay 12% just like before. Nothing changes. If you're buying private, there's no GST. So private is just 7%. For the safety check, there's no PST being charged on a safety. Notice that. So you will only pay 5%. Make sure you write this down. And materials and labor is still 12%. No PST, no GST. On lien search, watch that. Lien search, you don't pay any tax. No taxes on that. So this is a bit of a breakdown as to what's happening down the road. You're still with me, right? Last period of the day. You can do it though. At the beginning, I need to talk a lot more, right? Let's look at the formulas, and this is going to be your homework. There's no other homework today other than making sure these formulas are on your study sheet. I promise you that. Used dealer. If you're getting a used car and it's from a dealership, I call it UD. Watch this. I'm just gonna cover that up. That should look familiar to you right there. And then understanding the formula is very important to me, guys. I don't want you to just use it blindly. So for the safety, we pay 5%. That's why it's 1.05. Parts and labor right here is 12%. That's why it's times 1.12. And the lien has nothing multiplying it because there are no taxes on it. So you would just pay for the lien itself. So this gives you everything that could possibly be charged. If there is no safety, no big deal. If there's no parts and labor, no big deal. If there's no lien, then it's just that. So a dealer most likely will not charge you for the safety or this, at least not separately, because they do it for you. They just get it all done and they just tell you, hey, this is how much you're going to pay. But if it does mention it, then this is how you proceed with it. Okay. Next, used private. It's UP instead of UD, right? So very important. I will just cover this up for 1 second here. You should notice that the last three components that are being added are exactly the same. Okay, it's very important that you understand the formula. What's different is the first part here, that you will pay the purchase price, obviously what you agreed to pay, and the PST is going to be either the purchase price or the book value. It's the greater of the two. So I will ask you to highlight this, because if you don't get that part, it's going to cost you a full mark. And so this bracket I call the PST bracket. That's the PST. That's what the AutoPack agent is going to charge you when you want to register. And there's the safety, which is taxed 5%, and there's parts and labor 12%, lien still no taxes. Okay, so this is the main difference between the two. Okay, so just got to make sure you have them both. A little disclaimer here, I already talked about it. When purchasing from a dealer, parts and labor as well as safety is usually included already, so you don't have to worry about it. Lien is usually not required because it's a dealership. Trust me, they make sure that when they get a trade-in that there's no lien on it, because they don't want to be stuck with a lien car, right? So usually you don't have to worry about it. Both formulas calculate the cost after tax. Do not add taxes again. Okay? By multiplying the total by 1.12. I don't know, I feel like I always try to make it so clear, but some students miss that. So what I'm talking about is some of you will do this beautifully. It'll just look so nice. You plug everything in right, and then you're done, and it's like, oh, it said after taxes. So they slap on another 12% to the whole thing already. So you're double taxing if you do that. This is already making sure all applicable taxes are charged, okay? One example here. So study sheet, Boxton formulas, study sheet. I will tell you something. If to not use up space, don't add this to your study sheet, because I will give this to you down the road. Okay, so don't worry about this one. Let's go to page 16 and do an example. You agree on a price of $12,999 for a used car, very important, but it is at a dealership. They have to tell you whether it's private or dealer. You add a remote starter for $499.99. The dealer offers you get an offer of $3,500 for your old car, which is basically the trade-in. How much is paid in total, including tax? Right? Total including tax. How much did you actually pay from your pocket, right? So it's used dealer. So that would call for sticker minus trade. All of that multiplied by 1.12. Then you would add safety times 1.05. You would add parts and labor times 1.12 and a lien search. That's the whole thing. That's the one you would have on your study sheet. There is no lien, so don't worry about that. No parts and labor. Hold it, hold it. Isn't there remote starter parts and labor? And the answer is yes. It would be charged 12%, correct? If you plugged it in here. If you plug it in here, because it would be considered an option, right, as well, when it comes to the sticker price, it will still be charged 12%. So regardless of where you put that in, you will be fine. I will just ignore it here. No safety. So we're down to this as our formula. Sticker would be 12,999 plus the option here. I will call this sticker, sorry, I skipped that. This is my sticker price here. The base price plus the remote starter, which I call an option. And that gives me, here it is, 13,498.99. That's the sticker price. So I'm going back to used from a dealer. And I'll take that, 13,498.99. I will subtract the trade-in, which is 3,500, and I will slap on 12% to that number. Doing good time-wise. So that would give me 11,198. Oh wait, I'm skipping a step, my bad. I'm giving you the total. This here is 9,998.99 times 1.12, and here it is, 11,198.87. So that's how much it will have to be paid yet once you're said and done. Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to put a challenge on you here. I want you to use the rest of your class to make sure those formulas are added. And I want you to try this example already by using the formula that I gave you, one of the two. See if you can figure it out. I will go over this maybe a little bit later, or if not, if I don't get to it today, I'll get to it tomorrow, okay? But I want to stop here. I feel like I talked enough already. You need a break now. So formulas to your study sheet, maybe the piece of loose leaf, whatever you're doing, and try this one on your own. See if you can already get it. I think you could if you put your mind to it, and then we'll continue later.